on that field today? Ask yourself this question.
What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Let's go! We ready! We ready! We ready! We ready! And let's go to the and let's go to the
When I step on the field, I send one message. And this is what it feels like. This is what it feels like.
Football is getting hit. That's it.
It's gonna be football now! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Let's hunt now! Let's hunt now! Let's go! Let's hunt! We ready! And let's go to and let's go to
We're talking about the Jets like we're talking about the Saints. You know, all this, how we the Miami Heat of football. Yeah. The bottom line is you got to buckle up your chin strap. It's embarrassing. Yeah. Don't disrespect the game like that. There's too much crying from them. He's a man. They can be hit just like us. He's a man. You already make the big money. He's a man. Don't cry when you step on the field, man. That's war out there. When I step on the field, I send one message. And this is what it feels like.
Oh, my bad. Your bad don't work in my world.
What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! We ready! And let's go to and let's go to it's a wrap. Game over.
Not over. Just getting started right here on the lunch break, powered by JM&E, broadcasting live and streaming live on Roku TV, courtesy of BS3 TV. Good seeing y'all on this winning Wednesday. I'm AJ Jones, and man, I've been out at training camp every day this week, Monday, Tuesday, today. They're going to be off tomorrow, and then they'll be back on Friday. But I asked a good friend of mine to drop by today and talk a little bit about training camp, talk about some of the Deshaun Watson situation. Leaks are starting to come out of the league office that Roger Goodell does plan to appeal the 6-game suspension handed down by the arbitrators, Judge Susan L. Robinson. Goodell wants a significantly longer sentence, or excuse me, not sentence because he's not sending him to jail, but suspension than the 6 games that was given by Susan Robinson. So when my colleague joins, we'll talk about that as well. Hey, CJ. Hey, Ben Sutter III. Big shout outs to both of y'all. Love seeing y'all whenever I come on. Again, it's Winning Wednesday. Get ready. You'll get an opportunity to win $50 cash on the Lunch Break Weekly, Keeping Up with the Joneses Pick'em Challenge. That's going to start week 1 of the regular season back over in September. I think it's September the 11th. We'll have our first week of the Lunch Break Weekly, Keeping Up with the Joneses Pick'em Challenge. All you got to do is pick who you think is going to win every single game. And then when we get down to the Monday night game, I'll let you know which game to use as your tiebreaker. For that game, you got to give me the exact final score of both teams in the game. So 21-20, 25-23, whatever you think that final score is going to be, give me that. That'll be the tiebreaker. And you'll have a chance to win $50 cash every single week. The winner at the end, we'll take the top 6 winners, people who had the best 6 records, and they will compete for $500 cash. Last year, CJ was right there, about to enter in that top 6, and then she fell off. Keith Hennick got in. Delano won it all last year. So yeah, man. Yeah, we gotta get going. Let's see. CJ said, we ready. Trey Pike said, you ain't lying. That intro gets me jacked every single time. That's why I play it. That's like my walkout music. Somebody's like, so what does that got to do with basketball? What does that got to do with baseball? Nothing. It's my hype music. And that's why I come out to it, because I want to come out hype, spitting fire and venom. So that's how we do it. Trey Pike, good to see you, Captain. All right. So a lot going on, man. Like, where do you want to begin? Hey, Donna Coleman Holman. What's up, sis? How you feel? Trey said that sets the tone. You ain't lying, man. You got to get your mind right before you just walk out in these games. I played for a guy in in Cincinnati, who would not even let us talk. Would not even let us talk. 5 minutes before the game, it was quiet, silence, nothing. When we walked out on the field, silent. We got in our lines, we did our calisthenics, silent. But man, when that whistle blew for the opening kickoff, ooh, that pent up rage, man, because we ain't been able to say nothing. We ain't been able to, to connect with our dudes and stuff, man. So when that first whistle blew, bam, it was on and popping. We made a lot of noise then. Keith Hennick, what's going on, brother? Like no other. All right, so Major League Baseball trade deadline came and went. Juan Soto going over to the Padres. Padres picked up Juan Soto. Astros made minor moves. They ended up trading Jake Odorizzi over to Atlanta, and they got a relief pitcher back in return for him. And that young man is the dude that closed them out in Game 6 of the World Series last season. So I guess if you can't beat them, join them. So, that was really the extent of the big moves for yesterday. Again, it was Juan Soto going to the Padres, who are trying to keep pace with the LA Dodgers. So that's what you had there. And then, man, there's some injuries going on already in the NFL. You got 2 players that went down for the entire season up in Denver in the same practice. Man, I will never forget a couple of years ago when Deshaun Watson was the starting quarterback. We got word that he blew his knee out in practice. And man, I'm telling the collective city just held their breath. Yeah. So, again, thoughts and sincere prayers going out to these guys as they're putting in that work, trying to make the team. But more than anything, you want them to come out of this healthy. And 2 dudes in Denver ended up suffering season-ending knee injuries. All right, Donna Coleman-Holman says, does the NFL really want D. Watt's blood for 17 games plus suspended? Yeah, they do. I think it's the outcry that's coming from the fan base, some of the national writers and broadcast journalists, and then sponsors, saying that they're going to pull out their sponsorship if the league doesn't do more to suspend Deshaun. Then that's what they're talking about. Donna Coleman-Holman said the Tampa Bay lost their center. Yeah. Again, a number of teams have already experienced season-ending injuries from key players. So we'll see where they go from there. And Tom Brady ain't quick of foot, so he's going to need some solid protection behind that Tampa Bay line to be able to do the things that he can do at this stage of his career. So it'll be very interesting to see what Tampa Bay does to make sure that he is protected. So again, it is almost time for preseason football. In 10 days, the Texans will kick off against the New Orleans Saints here in town, August the 13th, 7:00. Good seats are still available for that one. I'll be there, of course, with media. And then for you Cowboy fans, the Cowboys will be on the road. They're in Oxnard, California, and they're going to travel over to Denver to take on the Denver Broncos. So again, that will be August the 13th. So we are 10 days away from the first preseason football game. But I think there's somebody that plays sooner than that. Let me get my schedule up real quick. Get my NFL schedule up real quick. All right, so here we go. Preseason week 1. Yeah, on the 11th. You got 2 games on the 11th. You've got the Tennessee Titans visiting the Baltimore Ravens. That'll be at 6:30. And then at 6:00, you've got the New York City Giants, who play in New Jersey, taking on the New England Patriots, who play in Foxborough. So you got that on the 11th. And then on the 12th, you've got several games. Cleveland versus Jacksonville. You got the Cardinals versus the Bengals. Falcons will take on the Lions, the Jets and the Eagles. And then the late game that night at 7:30 will be Green Bay and San Francisco. And on all those games, I would not expect to see, the starting quarterback or the, presumed starting players. This is week 1 of the preseason. Nobody's trying to go out there and have their whole season be put on the line in week 1 of the preseason. So again, Thursday, August the 11th, just 8 days away, We've got Tennessee and Baltimore, Giants and Patriots. 9 days away, we've got Cleveland and Jacksonville, Arizona and Cincy, Atlanta and the Lions. I'm curious about Atlanta. I'm really curious about Atlanta with Marcus Mariota at quarterback. I really hope Marcus Mariota does well. I'm a little bit of a fan of his, if you will. We're not supposed to say that in broadcast journalism. Things didn't go the way he planned in Tennessee, but I would like to see what he looks like now that he's been in the league for a few years and matured a little bit, see how he handles the starting role in Atlanta. Kenny Pickett's has already been ruled to be the backup quarterback. Marcus Mariota has already been given the starting job. So I'm going to be curious to see how that works out. Jets and Eagles, and then Packers and Green and 49ers, those games on Friday, August the 12th. Let's see. Donna Holman says, what about the NFL CBA on Deshaun Watson situation? They've been very clear. They've been clear. The Players Association has been very clear. If Roger Goodell doesn't appeal the suspension, then they won't appeal it. If he just accepts the 6 games, then they'll let him sit out the 6 games. If he tries to appeal it and make it, 17 games, 12 games, 20, 34 games, and I'm telling you now, the NFL Players Association is going to come with everything they got to try and make sure that their player is not out for that long. So we'll see. Let's see what else we got. Captain Trey Pike said, I'm glad the league is using the Guardian caps for training camp. AJ, you mentioned some of the regulations with that, but couldn't remember what they were. So yeah, they are wearing, that is the extra protection on top of the helmet, not inside the helmet, but on top of the helmet. And they're going to wear those through the first couple of weeks of preseason. Offensive linemen and defensive linemen will wear them through the first couple of preseason games. So the NFL is going to see, what that looks like and see if that's something that they want to go to. Donna Coleman-Holman, Arizona got rid of Kyler Murray's study clause. It shouldn't have been in there in the first place. It never should have been in there. It never should have been revealed to the media. Again, it just shouldn't have been in there. It shouldn't have been in there. I am sick and tired of people who are, that's the way it's always been. No, it's bull. It's bull. You don't need to be releasing stuff like that because, again, it gives a completely biased, negative connotation for a young man that we don't know if any of that was true. Now it makes it look like, this young man's not out there studying. And as he said in his own words, to think that I don't study is disrespectful. It's absolutely disrespectful. You got front office people in Arizona that got legit drinking problems. We don't know about clauses in their contract to counterbalance them drinking and driving like complete idiots. And I'm sorry to use that, so strongly, but you drink and drive, you're an idiot. You're an absolute idiot. And they've got front office people that absolutely jumped in the car and drove as drunk as they could possibly be several times over the legal limit. But what are we talking about? A study clause in a quarterback's contract that, for all we know, we have no idea where that came from. We have no idea where that came from. Donna, that your guess is as good as mine. Why is Nathan Peterman on the Bears roster? I have no idea. I have no idea why Nathan Peterman is still an NFL quarterback. First string, second string, third string, 15th string. Again, there you go. That's the NFL. All right, let me get ready to take a quick break. We'll come back with more right after this on the lunch break, powered by JM&E, streaming live on Roku TV, courtesy of BS3. Be right back.
This is a BS3 network presentation.
I want to show that attainability. I want to show the accessibility of this kind of lifestyle.
From social media to having conversations with friends and family, you always have to put on face and say face.
What brings a smile to my face is the one person that totally believes in me, and that's my beautiful wife, Jody.
I just had to stop because I didn't value myself. I didn't love myself. And it's like, I have to learn to love myself.
Changing the world one conversation at a time. This is Revelations.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
All right, y'all, back here on the lunch break powered by JM&E, broadcasting live on Roku TV, courtesy of BS3. Big shout out to the BS3 family. Got the chance to see Queen 3 and King last night. Ben Sutter III's wife was on with the Queens and the King, and it was a great show. The question was, why do we say it's all fair in love and war? Why do they put love and war synonymous and say that all is fair in it? And it was a great discussion. I love that they go down to depths that most people don't do. And a great show. If you have not seen it, go back and look at the replay. Queen 3 and King. You can follow them on Facebook. You can follow them on YouTube. And, of course, you can get them on the BS3 network. If you got a Roku streaming device, just download BS3 TV, and you'll be able to catch that great show. So definitely appreciate it. All right, let me get back to it. Keith Hennick says, idiot is an understatement for drunk driving. I mean, in an age where you can literally hit an app and get a ride as nice as you want it, or as, easy as you want it, sent directly to where you are, there's no excuse for drinking and driving. And again, people want to make everything else the biggest issue in the world. It takes absolutely very little effort to get a ride and not drink and drive. I'm sorry. So the Arizona Cardinal organization has bigger fish to fry than, forcing a study clause on a quarterback who has gotten them further than they've been in a long time. I know they were in the Super Bowl, but in a long time, they haven't had a quarterback like Kyler Murray. So there you go. All right, Trey Pike. Kyler Murray was and is a two-sport professional athlete. You can't do that at his level unless you are a think tank and a student of the game. I agree with that wholeheartedly. And again, it's unfair to that young man to have his reputation tainted like that by whoever put that in. To me, would be I don't know. If I'm the owner, I'd have something to say about it. Why did we put that in the first place? Why did you think that was a good idea? And we'd have some strong talking about that behind closed doors. Trey Pike, such total BS to put that in there for someone that's given more time than that anyway by far. I agree. Now here's what I want to know. How much time is Cliff Kingsbury putting in the study? How much effort is he putting in to become a better coach? Again, I believe, that's just me talking, that the shelf or the ceiling on that team starts and stops with Cliff Kingsbury. Dude was not a winner in college, was not a winner anywhere he went as a coach. But yet we're supposed to think that he's just going to be the man as the head guy in Arizona. I don't think he has it in him. I'm not going to mix words with it. I'm not going to try and sugarcoat it. I don't think he is the man to get them where they ultimately want to be in a Super Bowl and win the doggone thing. That to me, there needs to be clauses in Cliff Kingsbury's contract, and I don't need to know about them. They need to be in there. But don't start giving me this nonsense about player clauses that say they got to practice and they got to lose weight and all that when we don't know all the details of the general manager's contract. We don't know the details of the vice president of football operations contract. We don't know their details. Why the hell do you always have to tell us about the players? That is something that here in the United States, it's just, you got billionaires that want to release all the details about millionaires, and it just creates division. It just creates unnecessary division. Trey Pike said a good quarterback coach, but that's it in my opinion. Again, he got the whole job. He is the head honcho. So, either he's going to put up or shut up. If this ain't the year of, in fact, how many years is this for Cliff Kingsbury? I want to pull up his record. I want to put up his record. Hang on. Let me pull it up real quick. Cliff. Me and my fat fingers. Cliff Kingsbury. There we go. See what he's talking about. All right. According to this, Cliff Kingsbury is in Arizona Cardinals 2019 to this year. So what are you talking about? 3 years? Third year? Record. I need to see the record. Head coaching record. Ready? 24, 25, and 1. That's his record. That's his record in the NFL. 24, 25, and 1 tie. It don't get more mediocre than that. In college, can I give you his record from college? 35 and 40. Where did they think this guy was going to start winning at? Where did they think this guy was going to come in and be a winner at? His regular season record as an NFL head coach, you ready? 24, 24, and 1. One playoff game, and he got waxed. 24, 25, and 1. He's got a 490 win percentage. Oh, but David Culley, he doesn't deserve an NFL job. Oh, he's just in over his head. But you got Mr. Mediocre right here, Cliff Kingsbury, putting out study clauses in his franchise quarterback's contract. And to my knowledge, Cliff Kingsbury didn't come to bat for that young man. Where's his statement? Where's his defense of his quarterback? Somebody give me that. If Cliffy can't do something real this year, he will be a high school coach next year. Now, I really do think, Keith, that there are college coaches out there there are colleges out there that would hire him as their head man. I even think that there are NFL coaches NFL teams that would bring him in as their offensive coordinator or quarterback coach. Trey Pike, come in with Kyler, but don't remember the year. Came in with, 2019. So this year 3. What you going to do? Barbecue or mildew? What you going to do? Again, real vanilla on the success. Very vanilla. No sprinkles. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't. I shouldn't have looked at that. I shouldn't have looked at that. All right, hoping Kim Y. Davis can join us here pretty soon. Kim Y. Davis, host of and founder of Chalk Talk, great sports talk show that comes on Tuesdays. And, oh, man, Donna, that's all he got going for him. Donna said, Cliffy has pretty hair, though. Yeah, I know sisters that go crazy over Cliff Kingsbury. Back in the day, they used to go crazy over Pat Riley because he had that hair slicked back, fine Italian suits on and all that. And he was hanging out with Magic Johnson and Kareem and Worthy and Byron Scott and them. I mean, folks was in love with some Pat Riley back in the day. I don't think any sister was ever in love like that with Mr. Zenmeister with the Bulls and with the Lakers. I don't think they was in love with him like they were with Pat Riley. Keith Hennig said his division is extremely good. He has to get a wild card game this year. If not, bye-bye. I don't think they're going to fire him, though. I don't. And he's got a shot to come in dead last in the NFC West. He got a shot to come in dead last. Rams, 49ers. I mean, he got a shot to come in dead last. Again, it's not impossible. It's not impossible for them to come in dead last. Seahawks, we don't know what they're going to be. I doubt if they're going to be better than the Cardinals, but I say this, if they come in dead last, he ought to be gone. If the Seattle Seahawks without Russell Wilson have a better record than Arizona, Cliff's got to go. Donna said Phil had no swag. Yeah, Phil had no nothing. He was a funny looking dude, but Jeannie Buss loved him. I think still kind of do. They got one of them. They got one of those. You'll always be my baby, in my Mariah Carey voice. So anyway, we'll see. We'll see how this all plays out. I stick by my division winners. Cowboys going to win the NFC East. Cowboys going to win the NFC East. I stick by that. I got the Eagles second. I got Washington third. And the New York Giants last in the division. Again, Cowboys, Eagles, Washington, Giants. And Giants could easily be over Washington. Washington could easily be over the Giants, but I don't know. Keith said if Jimmy G goes to Seattle, Cliff will be at the bottom of the division. Very possible. Very possible. And I'm still sticking by Jimmy G going to Seattle. Best spot for him. I would like to see Geno Smith get another chance to be a starter in the league, but we'll know. We'll see. All right, let's go to the NFC North. Green Bay number 1, Minnesota number 2, Chicago number 3, Detroit dead last. Green Bay number 1, Minnesota number 2, Chicago number 3, and Detroit dead last. And I would not be mad if Chicago won the division, came in second in the division, or comes in third in the division. But if they come in last, then you gotta move some things around up there. NFC South, it's Tampa Bay, New Orleans, Atlanta, Carolina. Tampa Bay, New Orleans, Atlanta, Carolina. And I'm sorry, y'all can say everything you want to say to me about Carolina and their defense, the way they started. How did they finish? Last season? Has that been fixed? I don't know if Matt Rule has fixed that. And I know if he is trying to decide between Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, they're going to come in dead last in the NFC South. They're going to come in dead last because you're trying to decide between poop and you're trying to decide between poop and feces, trash and garbage. I don't know why I'm so hard on them today, but today is that day. I got time today. And then again, NFC West, Rams, 49ers, Cardinals, Seahawks. Rams, 49ers, Cardinals, Seahawks. And again, if the Cardinals come in third but don't make the playoffs, you got to look at Cliff. Got to look at him. Keith Hennig said the Panthers have 2 quarterbacks, so they have none. The Panthers have 2 dudes that play quarterback, so they have none. They ain't got quarterbacks. They got 2 dudes that play the quarterback position. They don't have one. Take a break. Be right back right after this on the lunch break, powered by JM&E.
BS3 Network. Changing the way you watch TV.
Yeah, that's who's got us rocking live on Roku TV. And look who popped in while we were at our commercial break. The historic, the first trailblazer, my friend who blessed me indeed today. Y'all see how I'm rocking today? Look, that right there, that's Kim. That's back from the motherland. I'm
From the motherland, yes.
grateful, man. How you doing, sis? You good?
I'm good. And so I am, listen, I don't have any makeup on. I'm still dressed as I was outside at training camp, but I showed up. So it was toasty today.
Man, it was today. It was beautiful out there, but that heat came through today. That heat was not playing today.
Yeah.
Kim Y. Davis, we were out at training camp today, and I got to tell you, man, Quentin Demps, former linebacker for the Houston Texans, said something very, very interesting.
Yeah.
You and I both noticed that it was kind of subdued today. Fans were subdued. The music was low, if on at all, and the action was just kind of eh. And Quentin Demps said, what were your thoughts about what he said?
Well, what he said was, well, they don't have any superstars. And I stopped for a moment and I was like, yeah, I mean, their superstar is Larry Tunzel on the O-line, which doesn't really count when you talk about what we were talking about, right? Of course, it counts in terms of football.
Right.
But, and he said, when we played, we had, J.J. Watt and Brian Cushing and Andre Johnson and sometimes Arian Foster. And, there's a host of people, Jonathan Joseph. You can go down the list of people that they had. And that's not the case now. So, of course, as many of us are still trying to figure out who some of the players are, those of us who cover the team, we know some of the guys that are back from last year. But you're right. I mean, it's a great place for a free agent because it means that you got a chance to make this team.
Right. Kim Y. Davis, host of Chalk Talk Sports, joining us here on the lunch break. And, so my initial question to him was, how is this atmosphere compared to when he played? He said, oh, it was packed when I played. He said it was packed out.
Yeah.
And they came out to see those superstars practice. But I flipped the script on that. It just goes to show that Lovie Smith has his hands full trying to make this team into something with dudes that are carrying their own, lunchbox. These are blue collar guys who don't have the 5 stars and the 6 stars and the all pro and the this, that, and the other. That's who this team's gonna have to try to win with.
Absolutely. And they did have first round picks this year for the first time in a few years. Derek Stingley, who depends on who you ask, there's a lot of optimism about, and then there are others who are like, I would have gone another way, but also he's a defensive guy, right? And so offensively, in terms of star power, your quarterback was a 3rd round pick last year. The guy who may line up across from Brandon Cooks, who's a really solid receiver, but is he a superstar in the league? He's a superstar on this team, but in terms of around the league is maybe Nico Collins, a 3rd round pick from last year. And while it doesn't mean that those picks can't excel and have really great careers, we've seen it like a Russell Wilson as a 3rd round pick, just off the top of my head, it does make you stop and go, yeah, okay. Lovie does have his hands full. Lovie and Pep, rather, I'm calling him Tip. Lovie and Pep, and then, so we'll see what they do. They are, they're going to be a competent football team. They're a well-coached football team. And will they surprise some people? They might. I don't know if they'll surprise them to the point of 7 games or not, but I think they will. It'll be interesting. They'll have to get a lot of breaks to get to that number. Although that's a number we've been talking about. We haven't heard that from the organization. Lovie hasn't put a number on. He's not quantified it, right? What success looks like. So it'll be interesting. I'm pulling for this staff and these young players, especially for Lovie and Pep. And Frank Ross is a good guy too, but I'm really pulling for Pep.
Yeah, same here. Got Kim Davis joining us here on Winning Wednesday on the lunch break, powered by JM&E, streaming live on Roku, courtesy of BS3 TV. And I got a shout out to the King Doc from Queen 3 and King. They had a great podcast last night, man. I was all in their podcast last night in the comments section. But he says, if anyone can do it, Coach Lovie can. He connects with players. That's half the gig. And I agree with that. You know, me and a couple of my colleagues would get into it all the time. If you're a head coach that has to have superstars and you have to have this and you have to have that, then are you a good head coach? You know, are you a quarterback that you got to have this, you know, receiver or that receiver? Are you a good quarterback? Lovey is this guy who can make these guys household names by the way they execute his game plan on Sundays.
So I agree. If anybody can do it, Lovey can, but he also has to have something to work with. I mean, you can do it in a couple spots, but when you got to do it in every spot,
right? Okay,
right.
Good
so
point.
I think that's the difference. You know, I was out there today, and we talked about the running back room, and they've got 6 running backs, and like he talked about the other day, I think maybe it was yesterday, he said their running backs are going to have to be able to also catch the ball, have to be able to block. I mean, what they're looking for. And so while we all remember Rex Burkhead from last year, listen, no disrespect to Rex, but if he is your guy, your running game is not going to be great.
Right.
Okay. The offensive line looks better, although it's been really, really bad. We've gotten a chance to see Titus Howard continue to grow and develop as a tackle. Laramie Tunsil is just special.
Yeah.
Right? He's just special.
Yep.
And he's just gifted to another level. And so with those kind of guys at tackle, and then some of the other ones that they brought along, and a new offensive line coach who I'm excited to see what that's going to look like, which will make a difference with your running game, you know. Can Marlon Mack be healthy? I don't know. If so, if he could be what we've seen before with the injuries, that'd be great. People are talking about Dameon Pierce, but the rookie Darius Alexander, I like him. He's got good hands. He's got a little speed. I don't know if he can block yet, but it's funny. I said that when I was walking out, talking again with Andre Ware, and I said that he goes, I just said the same thing to DP. He said, that kid, he goes, I don't know if he can block. I said, I don't either. So they've got some people on this team who might do some things, but I think we have to be, you know, kind of clear about who they are.
Right.
And that's not being pessimistic or taking anything away from anybody who's there. I'd like to see them do well. I like Davis Mills, all right. I just don't know that he's the guy that is the future. The word that comes to mind for me, and it's serviceable.
Yeah.
I heard somebody say the other day, a career backup. This is a former NFL player, said career backup.
Heard that too.
But I think serviceable. I mean, you know, so that he doesn't hurt you. That's what you want. He won't hurt you, that he makes the strides. But if you're talking about becoming a really competitor in this league, you're probably going to have to get another kind of talent, unless he does something that surprises us. I'm never one to try to burst somebody's dreams. I don't want to be a dream killer. But from what I've seen, I don't see it yet.
Yeah. Kim Davis, again, joining us here on Winning Wednesday on the lunch break. I put Keith Hennick's statement up there because as we were talking about star players, I mean, I think that's a fair assessment. I don't think he's a level tier 2 quarterback. He's definitely not tier 1. So tier 3, you know, again, that's serviceable. And if he can stay there, not turn the ball over, you know, not put the team in bad down and distance, you know, give the defense a chance by, you know, not keeping them on one end of the field and what have you. There's a possibility there. I will never let go of this, that Lovie Smith made it to a Super Bowl with Rex Grossman as his quarterback. Yeah. Lovey's got it in him. Does Davis Mills have it in him is my question. But then let's go down some key points. Brandon Cooks, where would you put him tier-wise?
Maybe 2.
Yeah.
I like him a lot, but 2. I mean, he's not and not just because of size, but he's not in the Julio Jones, even Hopkins. He's not that. And if you think about it, we were impressed and pleased with what he did. I guess that would have been, last year was 21. Deshaun set out. Then there was 20. So once I'm in the 20 season, we're like, oh man, you know, he became like one of the favorite targets for Brandon, if for Deshaun, if you will. You know, there was no Hopkins. And then when Fuller, of course, was out. So we saw him and thought, yeah, Brandon is solid. And I do think he is solid.
Yeah.
But I think, to answer your question, tier 2.
And I won't argue that. Tier 2, some might say tier 3, but definitely I can see tier 2. Let's go to the tight end spot. Any high tier people on that tight end position?
So, we talked about this. Last year we saw Pharaoh Brown, and man, in camp, he was just a world beater, right? And so then you thought, okay, Pharaoh Brown, he's got the size, and you hope for it. We didn't really see it. He got injured early, so and he struggled with penalties, right? So maybe it was because of the injury. I don't know. I would tell you who looks really good, and that's Brevin Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
He's lean. He looks great at camp. He's going up, making the big plays. And I preface it by in camp.
Yep.
So I think he's got the potential to be, no, to answer your question, there's not.
Yep. All right. Yeah. So then let's go running back. Tier what as far as potential starters at the running back spot?
So, we know about Marlon Mack, the veteran who's had some injuries. And so if you could get, if he could get back to what we've seen him in his heyday, he's probably a tier 2. I mean, he's not a superstar.
If the Texans can get tier 2 performance out of Marlon Mack, that would be
that'd be awesome. I'm just saying that's his upside.
Right.
And then the rookies, we don't, the young guys we don't know. Darius Alexander, the kid out of TCU, and then of course Damian Pierce. We just don't know. But at this point, they're not guys coming in that you're like, oh yeah, they're gonna blow it out of the water. So no tier 1s for sure. And Rex Burkhead, absolutely not.
Yeah. And then Laramie Tunsil, we'll go ahead and give him tier 1.
Tier 1.
Across that line, I mean, I think Titus Howard gives you the best upside, and he, teetering between tier 2 and tier 3,
Right. And I get it. If you're the coach, you're supposed to say you got 2 of the best tackles in the league. He's coming along, but he's not there yet. You don't know what you're going to get from Green as he comes along. You have some other guys that have been in and out. I mean, Jason Britt, he's not that.
Right.
They're better with him than without him.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make him a tier 1 player.
Yeah.
Max, who filled in a lot last year because they had so many injuries, and so he played a lot. But so Laramie Tunsil, tier 1.
Let's go on the defensive side. Kim Davis, Chalk Talk, joining us here on Winning Wednesday. Let's go on the defensive side. Pass rush. They don't have tier 2 pass rushing, in my opinion. But you tell me.
So I like Jonathan Grenard. I liked him, last year.
How many sacks did he have last year?
Was it 8? I cannot remember, but I feel like.
And that's what I was thinking. That's about what I was thinking.
I feel like it was 8. I mean, we like what we saw from Camus, who he's a linebacker, but on the line, so Grenard, I mean,
9 sacks. 9 sacks.
9 sacks. Okay, yeah. He had 9. I like what you see from Roy Lopez. In the future, he may ascend. I mean, he was a good draft pick for this team, right?
Yeah.
And Collins. I mean, we don't have it.
Yeah, let me say this. It's not fair to compare any of these guys to J.J. Watt in his prime. But, when 9 sacks is your ceiling, I mean, you just got to be real that we don't have tier 2, tier 3, we don't have tier 1, tier 2 talent. We got tier 3 that from time to time, jumps into that tier 2 area. So
right, you don't have a Clowney, right?
Right.
There's just
secondary.
So I like Steve Nelson, but today Brandon Cooks just had his way with him. I was like, what is happening today? Right? What is happening today?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Brandon Cooks had his way with him today. He kind of got his goose cooked today, But I've liked Steve Nelson from what I've seen. I wouldn't say tier 1. We're waiting to find out about Derek Stingley, Petrie, but you can't put them in tier 1.
No, not yet.
Not yet. Maybe Stingley is a guy that has that potential. Everyone has potential. I don't want to say that, but you know what I mean? He could be a guy down the road, but right now he's coming off injury, so you don't come in and go, yeah, he's tier 1. We just haven't seen it yet. So no. Safety Jonathan Owens really pulling for him, but not a tier 1. So the secondary has definitely gotten better, but there are no tier 1s. Coach says the linebacker room is really solid, but they probably have the most depth. Was it that linebacker or on the defensive line? But it wasn't in the secondary. So
yeah, and that's where I was going to go next, linebacker, because that's that crew that cleans up what happens in front of them and tries to keep a lot off of what happens behind them. So, again, we've seen linebackers that were tackling machines. We had guys that, could stop the run and could defend the pass and things like that. And
so I'm just looking at line. So we know about Camus, who's solid, but he's not a tier 1 guy. Right. Camus Grugier-Hill, know. Jake Hansen is new. He's been, kind of cool to see.
What about Kirksey? Kirksey?
Oh yeah, Christian Kirksey. I like Christian Kirksey. I don't know about tier 1, but I like him.
Yeah,
I like him a lot.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the roster. What are the linebackers? Kevin Pierre-Louis, Jalen Reeves. Yeah, I like Kirksey. And Garrett Wallow is one that there are people that are like, maybe he can come along and do something. But again, not tier 1, right?
Yeah.
Not tier 1. So, nope, not there either.
Let me do now. You don't say nothing because I don't ever want your credentials in jeopardy. Mine, they come and go. This is more of the Bill O'Brien effect. For people who wonder why I'm so hard on what Bill O'Brien did to this team and not at all impressed by AFC South championships, this is more of the effect of the Bill O'Brien. They didn't even have the equity, the ability to grab first round tier 1 picks forever because of Bill O'Brien. They didn't have the ability to get into free agency because of Bill O'Brien. And you can't blame Rick Smith for this one. You can't blame him for this one. You can't blame.
Yeah, no, I don't listen. You're not saying anything I haven't, so I don't worry about the credential on that because certainly they wouldn't be caping for Bill O'Brien. He put this what he did to this organization should really make him a non-viable candidate for any kind of position. Now we know that won't happen,
right?
Because that he'll be back. He
Jacksonville
should never be a GM. He should never be over pro personnel. He should never have any real management opportunities,
right?
Because he put this team in a position that's taking them years to climb out of.
And that's the part. And I don't want that to get away from us because I said when he got fired, 5 years. I said 5 years. Why? It's going to take 5 years for this team to get back because we look at starters and we look at position players, but you said it earlier. You got to have depth, and you can't get depth when you only got a handful of players and a handful of rounds where you got to pick starters and you got to pick role players. You can't do that.
Listen, usually those third round picks are the guys that build your roster out, right? Those are the picks that build out your future. Third round picks had to be guys that would come in and potentially be starters here. And not only did he squander draft picks and draft capital, he also blew the cap. Like he gave money to the wrong people and they had to then go back and try to dig out of the cap. They would cap hell.
Right. Yep.
They had no draft capital.
Yep.
So last year they had to kind of do some, smoke and mirror stuff. And this year is a little better, but when you've been in the hole, when you give away, and I hate to keep going. Let me just say this. When you give away DeAndre Hopkins
tier 1
for a second round pick and a peanut butter sandwich,
mm-hmm.
I mean, that's kind of what you got.
Mm-hmm.
How do you build a team?
David Johnson won tier 1. David Johnson won tier 2.
Tier 2. On a good day, he might have been tier 3, maybe. I mean, you gave up 2 first-round picks to get rid of Clowney, and you paid half part of his salary because of some personal stuff, because you got your feelings hurt because he outsmarted you, which wasn't that hard. You made him a franchise player, but you didn't have him sign he hadn't signed it. So then he could say, oh, no, I'm not going there. I'll go here. And so you had to move him where he wanted to go, which was just, you're mad because he helped. Anyway, Bill Bryan devastated this team.
Yep.
What he did was just almost criminal.
Yep. So. Yeah. We got Kim Y. Davis joining us. She's the host of Chalk Talk, founder and creator of Chalk Talk, and glad she dropped in on us. So this is where I go back to this organization, because I think Keith Hennig said this organization needs new ownership. I'm not going to touch that part of it. They need patience with this administration. They need patience with Lovey. They didn't have patience with David Culley. I think that they should have. I feel like he should be the head coach this season. But that aside, we can't go back and redo that one. They have got to have patience with Lovey Smith trying to dig this organization out of where it was left by somebody who killed them player-wise, financially, you name it.
In the community, image-wise,
morality,
with the league,
in the locker room, all of that.
Across the board, right? So
yes.
You're right. And the key is, it's not so much the administration, because I feel like Nick is fine, right? Nick is a Jack Easterby guy, and so Nick is going to be okay. I can think of 6 million reasons why he's going to get time in his spot, but you're right. It's Lovey who needs the patience, and Lovey who deserves it, because let's be clear, he did them a solid when he bailed them out of making probably the worst mistake in franchise history by hiring Josh McCown, because they were going to do that.
They were going to do that.
I think the league leaned on them. They didn't lean on them and say, you got to hire Lovey, or even say you got to hire a black man. I believe they got a call and said, listen, y'all, with all we have going on, you cannot hire this dude with no experience. Yeah. Josh McCown has much experience coaching in the NFL as the two of us combined.
Correct. Absolutely right.
So they failed up. And for those who say, oh, man, but I heard somebody out there the other day in practice, I just had to walk away because, I'm not Lovey's personal publicist, but talking about how bad Lovey was in college. And yeah, but you got to look at the whole picture and what he walked into. It doesn't work like that. But we have these different sets of standards for, I'm just going to say it, for African-American coaches. They got to come in and work their magic right away.
Kim,
no matter what they step into. And I think that's unrealistic.
Before you got on the show, I looked up the life and stats of one Cliff Kingsbury. In college, 35-40. In the NFL, regular season, 24-1. Complete NFL coaching record, 24-25-1. But we got to talk about Lovey at Illinois. Lovey didn't go to Ohio State and turn.
Didn't Lovey coach a Super Bowl game? That him? Okay, I'm sorry. Just go ahead. Carry on.
Yeah. But somehow about the study clause in Kyler Murray's contract, but we're not talking about anything that should be in Cliff Kingsbury contract. Either you're gonna win in this league now, or you're gonna get on back and coordinate in college. But
again, coaching. Is he at USC or UCLA?
He was supposed to be the offensive coordinator at USC before he got the phone call to say, come be the head man.
That's right, at Arizona.
Experience.
Yeah, and which is why at USC, didn't they just lose a guy to Texas A&M? I'm sorry. I know that. I digress. Anyway, listen.
Let's jump over before we have to go. Talk to me about the Miami Dolphins situation. What were your takeaways from the $1.5 million fine? They said that there was no way that Coach Flores could take seriously that he was being paid to lose games, but they did hit him with tampering. What are your thoughts?
So we talked about it a little bit, and I agree. So the tampering, I'm probably one of the few people that thinks the fine was light. What's $1.5 million to Stephen Ross, right?
Yeah.
And he suspended until October. Well, hell, it's August, September, October. That's 2 months. What are you talking to me about? Draft picks might hurt him. But the kind of tampering, they said it was excessive. Like they hadn't seen any tampering like it. So
Right.
you tampered with Tom Brady on 2 different teams, and you tampered with Sean Payton. So really, Brian Flores was set up to fail. Now, they were never going to rule on the tanking thing for Brian Flores because it's bigger than Brian Flores, right? If we say, yeah, we know y'all this dirty, y'all did this tanking thing, we got to handle it, they would have to get rid of him. They'd have to be like the NBA was with Donald Sterling. And I don't see them doing that.
Yeah.
So they got him on tampering, blah, blah, blah. He can't go to the owners meeting until next year. And I'm trying to think, is there an owner meeting before next August? Maybe there's one in December.
Yeah, they do a winter meeting. They
do a winter meeting. Okay, so he'll have to probably miss the winter meeting.
Yeah.
And then another guy on the board or owner or whatever, he got $500,000 fine and he's out for the whole season. I thought the fine was light.
Yeah.
But the NFL, they're not going to eat their own. A la Robert Kraft, who, by the way, what he did was illegal. Because it was in Florida. It was illegal. He's about to go in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
And Daniel Snyder, they got so much going on. They don't even want to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to hold players to another standard? Man, give me a break.
Speaking of that, you were the first to kind of drop in my ear that leaks are starting to come out that Roger Goodell is going to appeal the 6-game suspension of Deshaun Watson. Talk about that in our closing minute.
He is caving to the pressure. It has nothing to do with whether or not they think Deshaun Watson is innocent or guilty. It is completely about the pressure and how the actions and that current situation is affecting the brand. That's really all they care about. So let's be really clear. It is about that. And I am still super surprised at the outrage about Deshaun Watson. And I know I've lost a few people on Twitter because I said, well, if you supported President Trump, and I don't usually talk about who you should vote for, and which means you didn't have the outrage, then I don't want to hear it.
Yep.
Leader of the free world.
Yep.
So it's just big. Robert Kraft, what he did was illegal. We know he did it. Daniel Snyder, it's got all kinds of stuff going on with that organization. But you want to focus on the football player. And I'm not reducing Deshaun to just that. But you know my point.
Yep.
I just am like, wow.
Yeah.
But when I see former players and some of those guys who are just like, he's a sexual predator. And I'm like, really? But I guess when you listen, you get a check. Andre Ware and I had a conversation today, and he said something to me. He said, you know what? It's one thing when you have haters because they're like a wave, right? But when you have people who are envious, they're usually in your circle.
Yeah.
And that money that Deshaun got has a lot of people envious. And I'll leave it at that.
Kim Y. Davis dropping it like it is HOTT. That's right. Tell everybody where they can find you and follow you, my friend.
So you can follow me on Twitter at Kim Y. Davis. You can follow me on Instagram at Kim Y. Davis Media and also on Facebook at Kim Y. Davis Media. My show's live every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Hope to have some news about some other stuff coming up soon. But follow me, and we're covering it all. Astros, Rockets, Texans, anything that's major. And, hey, y'all make sure y'all register to vote. That's all I got.
That part. Free. You take care. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks for dropping on the lunch break today.
Good to be here. See you next time. Bye, y'all.
Hey, man, I'm telling you, I love her. She's great. I keep telling y'all she's the best of the rest. Tune in, follow her, keep up with her. Everything she's doing right here on the show. All right, I got to get ready to wrap it up. I'll be back tomorrow with a special show on Throwback Thursday. I hope to have a very special guest. I don't want to drop it yet. Y'all check it out on tomorrow. But as always, let's not be divided. Let's be united. I truly do love you. There's nothing you can do about it except for tune in tomorrow at 12 noon. Y'all take care.
It's Sybil Wilkes with what you need to know. Today is Wednesday, August 3rd, 2022. Number 1. WNBA star Brittany Griner was back in a Russian courtroom Tuesday as her drug smuggling trial winds down. The American basketball star was arrested and charged in February with bringing vape cartridges containing cannabis oil in her luggage upon her return to play basketball in Russia. Closing arguments are scheduled to take place Thursday. Once the sentence is rendered, the serious negotiations for a prisoner exchange involving Griner and former American Marine Paul Whelan will begin in earnest. Number 2. Joe Biden entered the White House announcing his Build Back Better plan. This comprehensive spending plan would restore various sectors of our democracy to make life easier for the average American. But unfortunately, lawmakers thought the bill was far too large and confusing, so the Biden administration has broken it up into parts, all of which he's tried to pass in various forms during his time as president. The latest? Senate Democrats have agreed on the Inflation Reduction Act. The president said the legislation would both reduce inflationary pressure on the economy and serve as the most important investment the nation has ever made in energy security. Number 3. President Biden's latest bout with COVID-19 came with a new wrinkle: how to announce a major counterterrorism operation in Afghanistan from isolation. The White House allowed just one print reporter to watch the president deliver his speech by looking through a window in the adjacent Red Room. A TV cameraman filmed the president, and a still photographer took photos, a smaller footprint than the group of journalists that's usually at the president's appearances. Number 4, a historic number of LGBTQIA+ candidates are running for office this year. That's according to new data from LGBTQIA Victory Fund, a national organization dedicated to helping elect LGBTQIA candidates. At least 1,000 LGBTQIA people are running for office on all levels. This is so far in 2022, and that's according to the group's data shared first with CNN. The organization, which only endorses candidates who back abortion rights, has seen an uptick in LGBTQ candidates of color, transgender candidates, and gender non-conforming candidates. Number 5, Myra Lewis has been missing from Camden, Mississippi since March of 2014. The now 10-year-old was last seen playing outside her family's home with her sister. She was seen wearing a turquoise sweater with a bear on the front, off-white or khaki pants, and pink tennis shoes. Anyone with information regarding Myra's disappearance, please go to the Black and Missing Foundation website. Here's your daily inspiration from Yogi's Jewels. No one is perfect. No one. That's where grace shows up. Inhale grace. Exhale judgment. Whew. Join me today live on YouTube and Facebook at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central with folks with a lot of grace. Man of the World Stephen Hill and comedian of the world Myra J. As we discuss today's top headlines and more. Thank you to our What You Need to Know partners, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated and the American Heart Association. To subscribe to my free daily newsletter, please visit SibylWilkes.com. Be informed, be empowered.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.